Well, third up tonight, Nikita Johnson, M2 competition. Nikita, yesterday, fairly sizable announcement in your career that you're going to do at least a limited program of Indy Next alongside your GB3, I think it is. Now, that's an interesting mix for the season. Is the intention there to keep your options open to go down the IndyCar route, or in Europe to go down the higher single-seaters, F3, F2, or is it all just about experience?
Well, it's a bit of both. I mean, anytime you're in a car, it's a good experience. You always need seat time and track time. So to go do Indy Next, it's adds more experience, and it looks very well on the resume, especially with going with one of the top teams, HMD. And, they know how to win races in Indy Next. So we'll learn a lot there, and it'll be very good to put on my resume. But also just to keep one foot in the U.S., because I think the biggest thing is when you go try to chase the F1 dream, sometimes you don't make it. You see some drivers that don't make it, and they have to sit out for a year or two and just figure out where they're going to go. And I think with having one foot in the U.S., if I go F3, F2, or maybe even just F3, I always have a backup plan to go sideways and go to IndyCar. So I think the biggest thing is just trying to keep a foot in both paths.
You've been very fast down here in these rounds so far, there or thereabouts in literally every session and every race. That must give you great optimism for this dual campaign that you're planning.
Yes, I think it's going to be a great campaign with both of them. I mean, I have some very strong teammates, including Arvid and Matthias and all the other ones too. I mean, everybody on our team, we have such a strong lineup, but to go, have Arvid as the benchmark for most drivers here, it's just great to get the data from him and video and to see how he drives and what to expect for the higher categories.
Like Arvid, you go out and you do a couple of laps and then you're right straight onto the pace. So you learn the tracks very quickly. Is that an important skill?
Yes, I think that's a very important skill. You also need to learn I think the biggest thing in racing is you have to learn how to learn. It's almost like in school. Sometimes it's not hard homework. They're just teaching you how to learn. And I think in racing, you get to a point where you just know how to learn faster, take in information better. And that's the biggest thing that I've been trying to focus on last year, 2024, and even this year too, is how to go adapt to a new car and a new track as fast as possible, because I never drove a FRECA car before this whole championship and any of these tracks down here, and been getting on quite well. And that's the same for Indy Next. I know St. Pete, but I've never driven an Indy Next car. My first practice is, I think it's the FP1 on Thursday or Friday. So we'll have to learn the car fast.
It's great that you respect your teammate, and I've seen you guys getting on well in the paddock, but how'd you beat him? How are you going to beat him this weekend and next weekend?
Well, it'll be hard, for sure. And so far, everybody's been very fast this weekend on our team, and all the other competitors too. It's very close. So I think the biggest start is we have to go out qualify everybody, including Arvid and Matthias. So we have to go try to put on pole, or at least the front row. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully Q1 tomorrow is good and we can go from there.
We kind of touched on this when we spoke at Mansfield after your second place there, and I was talking about, getting a scalp on Arvid would be really useful for your career. Do you still feel that way, or do you feel that you'd have to win the championship for you to get that gravitas that will come with beating a guy who clearly is already on his way to Formula One?
I think it's going to be hard to win the championship. That's still a possibility. We have a lot of points remaining on the table. 40 points is a pretty good buffer, but you never know what's going to happen in the last 6 remaining races. So we just have to go keep our head down, keep pushing, keep chugging away, get points no matter what. I think that's the biggest thing. This championship really rewards you for getting seconds and thirds. Even if you don't win, you just need to get points. So hopefully we can get a few wins in the remaining 2 weekends, but we just need to get a lot of points.
You've followed Arvid enough. Where's his weakness?
There's almost none, if I'm being honest. I mean, it's kind of hard to say because, me and him, when we're at the front, it's kind of just, the gap doesn't grow sometimes and sometimes doesn't close. We just stay the same. I think one of the biggest the strongest suits he has is to maintain the gap behind, which you have to do in higher categories too. You have to go preserve your tires, and he's really good at pushing really hard, but making sure he's on top of his tires and not just burning them up. So I think that's one of the biggest things I've learned from him so far is how to drive without burning your tires. But I mean, when you get to the front, there's almost no weakness that you can spot from any driver. It's more or less just what they do on the lap. You know, they might mess up turn 1 or turn 2, so you have to keep that in mind for the next lap or in the next few. They'll make the same mistake, and you just have to pounce on it.
So where's your strength?
Race starts. No, I'm just joking. I think my strengths are the last 5 to 10 laps. I'm really good at pushing when the tire is beyond its limit and going past the limit but still in control. So I think so far throughout this championship I've gotten better at that, and that's my strong suit.
Thanks for your time this evening, Nikita. Keep pushing and have a great weekend.
Thank you very much.